ready, man?
Party people in the place to be. It's about that time for us to.
Yeah.
What's up, chiropractors? This is Dr. Silveri, your guide up the mountain to $1 million practice. If you're looking for the roadmap to grow your practice fast, then keep on listening. This is the Path to $1 Million podcast, where I chat with today's most successful practicing chiropractors. And remember, if you want to get there faster, visit getmemorenewpatients.com to find out more about Leverage Media, the most comprehensive digital marketing agency for chiropractors on the planet. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Path to $1 Million podcast. I am your host, Dr. Silveri with Leverage Media, and I'm here with my good buddy, Dr. Joe Schmitt of 𝗲𝗄 Chiropractic here in Castle Rock, Colorado. So tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you went to school, what you've been up to, what you're doing now.
Went to school, Life University, graduated in 2012, made our way out to Colorado, established 𝗲𝗄 in 2013, and then opened our doors in 2014.
Nice. So where are you from originally? What brought you to Colorado?
Originally from Michigan.
Okay.
So grew up in a small town called Grand Blanc. That was where I met my wife, and then down to Atlanta for chiropractic school.
Very nice. So you guys chose Colorado just because it's beautiful here?
Love it.
Because it is beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
You had that. Did you have the beard at that point? Like when you decided on Colorado, and it was just like, well, I've got this beard, I need to go to Colorado, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of how it turned out. Yeah, I didn't have it before, so
okay.
I just had to get a little more rugged.
Yeah,
butch it up a little bit.
Like they kick you out if you don't grow it within a year.
Yeah,
it's
I'm pretty sure it's
you have to, like, when you move to a new place. When I went to chiropractic school, you have to get, if you're somewhere for like 6 months, you have to get the license where you like actually live at. And then you get pulled over, then you get in trouble. In Colorado, if you haven't grown a beard within a year, you're out.
You're gone.
You're gone,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So we're here in Castle Rock, which is right in between Denver and Colorado Springs. Nice little central location, so you can get wherever you need to. We're like an hour away from amazing skiing, so you picked a good spot.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. How did you decide on 𝗲𝗄? What does that mean?
So when I was in school, I knew for sure that I didn't want to be last name chiropractic.
Yeah.
Like that was my only stipulation in the beginning. And then my wife Lauren and I, we sat down and we just kind of mulled over several different ideas. We had probably 5 or 6 names that we were coming up with, and nothing really just kind of lit the fire and was like, hey, that's it.
Yeah.
But then my folks, they moved out of the house that we grew up in, and my mom said, I've got a keepsake box for you. I'd love to send you, because we just had a daughter. And she's like, there's some things in there that I think she might like. And I said, sure, great. So she sent the box, and I opened up the box, and in there was a Bible that they had given me in 1986. And on the inside cover, I had written the definition of 𝗲𝗄. And so 𝗲𝗄 means to be healed, to be restored, and to be made whole. Nice. And so that's where the name came from. It was perfect. I looked at it, showed my wife, and she was like, yep, that's it.
That's
where it came from.
It's weird how like those, like you're in the process of trying to figure this out. And then like what we were just talking about a little bit ago about like opening up into more space, when you create that vacuum, like the universe figures out a way to fill it with what it needs.
Absolutely.
So that's a great story. You told me that before, but I forgot. Like I literally got chills when you were telling me. That's a good sign. Like when I started, it was Silveri Chiropractic, so no chills.
But
that is one thing. I'm like, man, if I could give. When I was driving up here, I told you that I never knew why it was called Castle Rock, and as you're driving up, there's this like a hill with what looks like is a castle on top of it.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh, that's why it's called Castle Rock.
And
so now I have this idea for a video that I'm going to create for like the Dr. Silveri brand on like, don't just name your thing last name chiropractic. Like come up with something better than that.
Yeah.
And this is a great example of that.
But I was going to say it's funny too, because now people come in and they think that 𝗲𝗄 is my last name, so they call me Dr. 𝗲𝗄, and I'm like, oh man, if only I could just change it now, right? Yep.
Well, you need to put it up here somewhere. Like that's such a good story that you should like explain that, like whether it's in like the new patient paperwork email or something. Like, what does 𝗲𝗄 mean? And then what's the eagle?
So I don't want to say like that there's nothing too terribly significant about it, but I've got an awesome graphic designer that I worked with on the project, and really just kind of gave him carte blanche. What I told him was, I was like, make it American. And so he came up with several designs, and this was one of them, and we landed on that. And so yeah, that's I just love that design, and you know, it's just,
and it's like, isn't it great to be able
to the core?
Isn't it great to be able to like look at something like that and like you just feel good?
Yeah,
you know, like just you, because you have to see it all the time. You have to see the logo all the time. But to, like when I had my Jeep, like, you know, I had big tires on, it was raised. It's like every time I got into it, I was like, oh, I like this Jeep, you know, like it never got old.
Right.
Like we got a new car recently, and it's like I already don't care about it. You know, it's been like 6 months. So the thing I really like about your office and just like you and your team in general is you're very focused on like the brand and the aesthetic and like the feel of the office. And even like this wall, like it's just got that like rugged feel to it. I mean, this space is not that big. It's 1,500 square feet, I think you said, right?
Yeah.
And you guys are moving into 2,400 square feet, which is great. But you guys are always like very particular about how things look, about the brand, and how like the social media channel looks, how your team looks. Like you guys wear like the above, down, inside out stuff, t-shirts, and I just think that that it's such an unrecognized thing that is important. Like people that don't worry about it don't realize how important it is. Yeah. So like, what are your thoughts on it? Is that just something that naturally comes to you or to your wife, or do you actively like always pay close attention to those things?
Yeah, I think I just have, my wife, she would love that you gave her a little bit of credit, but no, I think I've always just had that, you know, that knack for things being aesthetically pleasing and just that eye for design. You know, that's one of the things that I did before I graduated is I probably walked into 100 different chiropractic offices just to see like, what are they wearing? What is it, you know, what's the paint on the walls look like? Do they have you know, just all of those, you know, different things. And, you know, I always, whenever I walked into an office and it looked good, you know, it just set the tone and set the vibe and, you know, just made it feel like a place that I wanted to be, you know?
Sure.
And so that was what we were, you know, hoping to create here. I mean, obviously, you know, you get the rustic wood and that kind of stuff. That's very Colorado, you know, and that's what we wanted, was just kind of like that rustic look, but also to be able to have a place where people walked in and they went, this kind of feels homey, you know? And so, yeah, as far as like the you know, branding of our practice, I mean, that's just always been a big thing. You know, anytime, you know, you're reading things from marketing gurus, whatever it is, you know, it's brand. And, you know, even though we're never going to be Target or Walmart, right? You know, we want to be able to create that brand in the community, and you know, and that's you know, you pointed that eagle out. That's one of the things I think that is you know, really stood out for us is whenever people see that in town, they're like, oh, that's so, you know, so they know it already.
And you know, and like with the content that we're helping you produce now, you know, that stuff is, you know, you're only trying to, you know, Castle Rock, it's not like you're trying to become famous in Denver or in Colorado Springs. Like Castle Rock, you said it's like 65,000 people. Half of those people are adults between the age of 25 and 65. So like at best, you're trying to influence like 30,000 people at any one time. That's not that difficult to do if you stay focused on the brand side of it. If you just never think about it and you don't care about the brand, no one else is going to care about your brand either. Exactly. So, but I that's one thing that I always notice about you that is very different than even other successful practices. That I just think that's, even if it's only 10% of the success, it like all fits together with what you got going on. Okay. So did you guys work with a designer or anything, or it was always just kind of you driving the ideas?
Yeah, just picking and choosing, you know, seeing the things that we liked and then just kind of piecing it together. You know, we've worked with, you know, a great graphic designer, you know, over the years, but no like interior design. No interior designers. Yeah, we actually. One of the things that I love about this first space is we created zero debt when we opened this space. Yeah, we opened this whole space for $38,000, and it was just the money that we had saved out of chiropractic college, and so we were able to open it on a shoestring budget, and like even this wood here, all of this wood was sitting in a pile in somebody's front yard, and I was driving by one day. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to go knock on his door. What's the worst that's going to happen? He's going to pull a shotgun on me. I mean, you know, it was just like an old farmhouse. And he sold me a pallet of this wood for $125. You know, so it was just getting creative with how we were going to,
That's great.
you know, work the space and how we were going to, you know, bring these pieces in. So yeah, it was all just kind of piecing it together as we went along, and we've done, you know, 2 or 3 build outs in here since then, and you know, done some updates. But yeah, I think we'll work with a designer in our next space though.
That's great. I mean, I just think it's worth the investment if you aren't naturally that way.
Yeah.
That to have somebody who that is their skill set.
Yeah.
To come in, like one of our clients, she has a brand book that was created by a designer, and so like when she came on board as a client, she was like, "Here's my brand book. These are the colors. These are the aesthetics." But it was almost even like, "These are the words that match up with my brand." You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was just, and like if you don't naturally know that, you're never going to create a brand book. You know? Right. So I think that if it does not come naturally to you, it's important to either have somebody in your life 100%. That it does, or to pay a professional to do that. Absolutely. I also need to make you my CFO because I need more of the bootstrapping. I just like to throw money at the problems. You know, like, oh, that's a problem. Oh, there's a solution I can pay $10,000 for. Okay, yeah, for sure. Yeah. 0 debt sounds amazing. Yeah. All right. So you are a 4-star doctor. You went through. Oh, before I go on to that, what was the best office? You saw 100 offices. Who had the best office? Like the coolest vibe, the nicest place?
Wow. Yeah, that's. You know, I think the one that influenced us the most was 𝗵𝗲𝗶𝗆𝗍 in Golden, Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, while you're here in Denver, if you get a chance, you should stop over and see it.
Yeah. What was it about?
His wife is a designer.
Yeah.
And it's the prettiest chiropractic office you'll ever see.
Nice.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and so that kind of gave us our inspiration and our jump off point. And yeah, I would say that was hands down the coolest office we've been.
I'm gonna call. Is it Michael you said?
Yeah.
I'm going to call Michael and just be like, Joe told me your wife is really good at design. Do you mind if I interview her for the podcast?
Yeah, there you go.
So you're a 4-star doctor, which means you went through the 0 to 250 in under 12 months, 250 to 500 in under 24, 500 to $1 million under 36, and then you're currently over $1 million. So for each one of those stages, I just want to go through, talk about like kind of what were your thought processes on how to accelerate, what was like the big needle mover at each one of the stages. So when you started, you guys just picked this place. You started with 0. You didn't buy an existing practice.
Right.
You paid cash to get everything, the build out, get everything up and going. Was it just you and your wife when you started?
Yeah.
And so that's another interesting thing that I want to make sure that we touch on is just like working with a spouse. How, you know, what are the tips you can give people that maybe are thinking about doing that or currently doing that, and you know, wish they had as good a relationship as you guys have, because it seems like you guys really
we do.
really well.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we, you know, in your first year in practice, you have your moments,
sure,
you know,
sure.
where you're just grinding. But yeah, that's. I mean, my wife is my best friend. You know, I met her long before chiropractic college. I mean, we've been together for 17 years. You know, we made a plan about 15 years ago, and you know, started executing that plan, and this is just, you know, has been part of our mission.
That's awesome.
And so that's you know, it helps when you actually like being around each other.
Yeah,
you know,
that's probably step one. I don't know if there are any tactics if you haven't met that requirement.
I don't know what to tell you. If
yeah.
You know.
That's right. All right, so 0 to 250, you guys get started. The two of you. What was it that led to that fast growth, and how quickly did you get to like the $20,000 a month mark? Pretty consistently.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was in the first year. I'm trying to think back that far. Probably, you know, 9-10 months in.
Okay.
And that's, you know, we honestly in the beginning it was everything. You know, it was going to networking events. You know, I mean, we probably did 30 to 40 of those before we opened our doors. It was going to every spinal screening that we could possibly, you know, setting it up anywhere anybody would let us.
Right. You
know, it was getting into civics groups. You know, we joined the Kiwanis Club, we joined the Rotary Club. You know, just different ways to be able to network and connect with people. You know, we weren't really at the point at that time, like we weren't doing dinners and, you know, that kind of thing. But, you know, in the beginning, it was just go out and meet as many people as possible. It was like standing in line at Starbucks, and you just shake the hand of the person in front of you and behind you and like spark up the conversation, you know, and that was really how we were able to get out of the gate so quickly is I mean, we just made it our mission to talk to as many people as we could about it. And that's our philosophy, was there's going to be a lot of no's, but every no is going to lead us closer to a yes. So it was just that continuous, movement forward. And then we did a really big grand opening. We did it about a week before our office opened, but it was again going through all of those different avenues and inviting as many people, all the people that we met along the way. And so we had probably 175 to 200 people here for our grand opening, and then Lauren and myself, and we actually had a couple of people that came and helped us out, and we gave everybody who came in to that grand opening office tours and then scheduled people. Nice. So I think we scheduled, and again, don't quote me exactly on these numbers because I can't remember, but I think we scheduled 49 people at our grand opening. That's great. For our first week that into practice. So it was all those little pieces that just added up.
What did you do anything special for the grand opening, or was literally just like calling the people that you had business cards from and be like, hey, we met that one time, do you want to come to our grand opening? Yeah,
we did giveaways. We went around town and collected some donation. People that wanted to have their business highlighted. So we did some raffle prizes and giveaways. We had food and drinks, and then did a big ribbon cutting. So.
I feel like in towns, because you said like when you moved here it was 40,000. Yeah. In towns that size, when like a new couple comes to town with some energy and they're out there and they're meeting people. It's like towns that size, it's usually, maybe it's a little bit different in Colorado because it's a destination location, but like in Michigan, a town of 40,000 people, the people that have been there for a long time, they're not going anywhere, they kind of do a lot of the same stuff. So when somebody comes in with some energy and is trying to like really get out there and promote, I feel like that's, there's nothing that's going to help you get started fast than that, and like getting people on your team, getting people that are interested in your success, because any town like that wants new fresh blood. They want jobs, they want opportunities, so like they want to help, like the Chamber of Commerce wants to help with
who did the ribbon cutting. They did.
All right, so the 250 to 500 mark, so you have, let's say we're in your second year, you got a steady flow of patients. What was the thing, you're starting to get busier, so you don't have as much time to be harassing people in Starbucks lines.
Right.
But what was the one big thing that really allowed you to move from 250 to 500?
I think that came with internal systems.
Okay.
Like you mentioned it just a moment ago, with the referral tree has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so that became a big part of our practice was internal referral.
Yeah.
And that's it helps when you get results with people too, right?
Sure.
So that was a big thing for us, is we were getting great results with people, and then they were going out and sharing it with others.
Yeah.
And then we built systems and put systems in place that we started generating internal referrals through our regular systems and procedures.
Got it. And so, turning 1 into 3 always makes that growth a whole lot easier. Yeah. How many new patients were you bringing in per month, if you can remember, kind of on average back then?
Probably 30 to 40.
30. So you were, you had a good flow.
Yeah.
How many? Let's say you had 30 coming in. How many of those were internal referrals? Half. Yeah. And then where was the other half coming
from? Other half would be outside events, screenings on the weekends.
So you were still doing screenings when you had the opportunity?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's. I still have my team go out and do screenings.
And what do you do when you're at a screening? Is it EMG, thermal?
Thermal. Yeah.
What's the kind of quick and dirty when you show them the scan? How do you explain the thermal scan to them to where they like it makes sense?
It's a picture. So colors speak volume. Yeah. White is normal, green is mild, blue is moderate, red is severe.
Yep.
What do you see when you look at this? Wow, color everywhere.
Yeah. And what do you explain as the like thermal difference? Like I always feel like inflammation is the best way to explain that to where they can understand.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So because I use EMG just because I always found that like with thermal I was having to explain like what the heat difference was, and with the EMG it's like tight muscles. Yeah, they got it. So it was a little bit easier.
Yeah.
When you do screenings, let's say you get 10 people that sign up at the event. How many of those, on average, do you think show
up? If we don't collect deposits, it's a crapshoot. But when we started collecting deposits, I would say probably 80-90%.
Yeah. And then when those people come in, what's your close rate on those?
Our close rate overall is probably probably around 85% with internal referrals, and then probably 75 to 80% on external. So somebody that we would meet at a screening.
So this the reason I ask is because I just feel like, you know, everybody's so enamored with online marketing that screenings and networking, not so much networking, but screenings get like a really bad rap, and they don't want to do them. They like it, like whatever the thing is that they don't like about them. Yeah. I'm like, the most successful practices that I know,
it works.
It works. It's like you go out and you talk to people that have problems. Like I've never understood how it's gotten to be this terrible thing that no one wants to do. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I wish there were more opportunities for screenings. Yeah. Like they used to have women's expos and health fairs where they'd get like 1,000 people to show up. And it's like every year we just have one less one. Like we just had our biggest, we used to have one in October for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. One of the hospitals put it on. And for some reason, the lady who ran it liked us and would put us in the like providers tent with the providers from the hospitals, and they always had the worst booths, and we always had a really nice booth. And so we'd literally have people waiting in line 45 minutes to get screened. That does not happen at like the cooking show, right? And they just got rid of, like, last year was the last year they're gonna do it. I'm just like, oh, that was like our last bastion of like amazing screening opportunities. But I want people to hear that if you get 10 people that get screened and make an appointment and do the deposit, 8 of them show up, and basically 8 of them sign up. Like those are real good numbers, you know. And so, how much is your deposit when you do?
So we do 20 for an individual, and then 35 for a couple,
and it's amazing that like just $20, because nobody says no to the $20, right? But they just aren't committed at zero. Right. You know what I mean? So, so I'm glad that those numbers are so good, because I just don't think most people get that level. And when they get in the office, then that's when the systems really come in. Because if you can get 40 new patients in, but if you can't close anybody, or you can't keep them once they start, right? You know, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and we're both in, speaking of systems, we're both in TRP together, and Stephen Franson, who's the king of systems. Yes. Did you start with TRP, or was that, how long have you been in TRP?
I started working with Dr. Stephen probably like 1.5 years ago. Yeah. Yeah. Just looking for a coach, a mentor, kind of a one-on-one type of thing. So.
He's the best one.
Yes, he is.
What were you using somebody else, like when you started to lay those systems out, or were you kind of just figuring it out on your own?
Yeah, that's from kind of before opening my practice to maybe 6 to 9 months into practice, I worked with 𝗵𝗄𝗃, and then for the next 3-4 years it was just on my own.
All right, so you've gotten to the 500 mark, and that's third year, you think, when you're about third year? Yeah. So going from 500 to $1 million, how long did that process take?
About 2 years.
2 years. Yeah. And what was the biggest thing? So now you got your systems in place. You've got a good steady flow of new patients coming in. You've kind of worked out the kinks on like whatever external marketing you're doing. You've got lots of internal referrals coming through. What was the thing that really moved that needle from 500 to $1 million?
Well, that changed because your patient base is larger, and so that's when we started to bring in dinners, and those were really successful for us for a while, and then we kind of set those aside, and the other thing was the digital stuff. I mean, the digital space was huge for us, because prior to working with you, we did none. We were like, hey, this is okay, we're growing, we're seeing 30 new people, 40 new people in every month without doing this, but then once we added that piece, it just gave us another dimension, and so that was huge for us. So I would say those were kind of two big things. But then it was the same thing of having those internal processes, of internal referral, and then working with Stephen, and he showed me the referral coupons, and just like passing those out to people, and so. Yeah, I think
only you would have had that at Starbucks.
I know, right? It would have been much easier.
Where were we at on that one, 𝗵𝗄𝗃?
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't mean to cut you off. So I would imagine, is this when you brought in your first associate? Was it
yeah, we brought in our first associate not quite a year ago, so almost a year ago, and that was that was really you know, another kind of catalyst and jump off point for us.
Yeah,
because I was just kind of reaching that point. You know, hey, I've only had so many hours in a day and days in a week, and here's where I'm going to kind of hit a ceiling and cap out. And so bringing the new doc on was huge for us to be able to, you know, take that next step, and then, you know, we know where we're at now and when we're going to bring in another doctor. You know? Did
you hit, you know, 333 a month by yourself, or were you still a little bit short of that, and then you brought
still a little bit short of that,
yeah.
and then when we brought Dr. 𝗪𝗪 on, that kind of put us over the hump.
That's great. What was it just a matter of you just, you know, didn't have any more space in your schedule and that's why you brought someone on, or do you wish you'd have brought somebody on earlier, or are you glad that, you know, you waited until you did? Yeah, I mean, I think we had good timing with it. You know, it's 5 years of just like slow step. I mean, if you look, I mean, it's like 20 to 25% increase every year, you know, so we knew where that point was going to happen. And so I don't think we stayed there too long without, you know, hiring another doctor. I think we kind of jumped ahead of it and went, okay, at this point, this is when we're going to need it. And then you know, we were able to transition into that. I'm always a big fan of, like, when in any business, in any role, is like when you get to about 80% capacity, that's when you bring in the new person, so that you still have room to grow. So you're not, because if you're at 100% capacity, you don't even have time to train someone, teach them what they should be focused on, you know. So so that's a smart way to go. I've told this story before, but I was at 30 people a week in one office and 40 people a week in the other office when I brought on associates in each office, because I just couldn't handle the volume, you know. So it was like I needed some help. So you get to the $1 million. I would imagine also, like, another thing that I'm always impressed by you is just like your staff, like the trainings. When I see you at the TRP events, like your whole staff is there. Mm-hmm. They're like not like begrudgingly either. Like they're having a good time. I would imagine that 500 to $1 million, it became a having better trained staff, really having good. We were just talking about training and making it a priority. With everybody in the office, was that part of that process, or that has always just been there? Yeah, that's the training. No, it hasn't always been there. Yeah. It was probably the first 2 years kind of a free for all, right? But yeah, definitely over the years really fine tuned that part of our practice, and just knew that as our team grew, that we weren't going to be able to micromanage everybody, and so we had to be able to put the right people in the right positions, and that we know could do their job, and we know that we could trust to do that, and so that's what it is here, and Stephen talks about it too. It's not spinning tops, it's gears. And so making sure that each person knows what they're doing, because each person's role hinges on the next person's role. And so so training became a big part of what we do here. To be able to see that many people and process that many people, I mean, you have to have the systems in place so it's not chaos. So just to give people an idea, like, how many people are you seeing per week right now? 500. 500. Mm-hmm. What's your goal? Like, where do you want to be at in the next 3 years? That's a difficult question. I mean, I want to see as many people as we can. How many spines are in Castle Rock? There's 50,000 people I still haven't checked yet. Right. So, I mean, we're going to grow, as our team grows, and we're going to just continue to serve as many people as possible. I mean, obviously, you have that 1,000 is a goal. I mean, I think that would be the next goal. But we don't plan on stopping there either. Yeah, that's great. What's the size of the team? So we have six people on our team. 6 people. Mm-hmm. And you're all chiropractic, just open adjusting. One thing before I forget, one thing that I find interesting about your office is that you have a gentleman on your team that works as a new patient concierge. Yeah. So talk a little bit, because a lot of offices, I've heard of it because I know I coach with Stephen, but explain to me, like, what he does in the new patient process. And he's a layperson; he's not a chiropractor. Right. And I think he does such a great job. Just like being in here today, I just he was doing the drop off at the front desk. I'm just like, man, that was good. Yeah, he is. He's really good. Honestly, like, most people call him Dr. Christian,
You
I thought he was your associate.
That's everybody who meets him. Yeah, he's been hanging around me for a while. Yeah, he's been with us for 4.5 years. And it's just, so new patient concierge and our 𝗳𝗃. So he takes everybody from the time that they walk into the door to completing that day 1 process and then back into that day 2 process. So what we wanted is really somebody that could be with that person and essentially hold their hand through the process, and somebody that the new person could create a connection with, right? And so somebody that they could start to feel comfortable with, and that's what the new patient concierge should be. It should be somebody that can really make an empathetic connection.
Yeah.
And so they go through the office tour, they go through all of our day 1 procedures and exam processes, and so they're with them the whole time through that process.
Got it. So what part does the doctor come in on the day 1?
So either myself or Dr. 𝗪𝗪 will come in on the front end of it to just do a meet and greet, introduce ourselves, and then put them in good hands with our new patient concierge to complete the exam procedures, and then we come back in to do a hands-on chiropractic evaluation, and those are really the 2 pieces that we handle.
Great. And then so how much time, if they're in the office, maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Probably, 45 minutes.
And how much time is one of the doctors with the patient?
Maybe 8.
And that's
8 minutes, 10 minutes.
And that's how you're able to process a lot of new patients through while seeing a lot of people.
Right.
And it's without that, it would be real tough.
Well, then we'd lose one of the doctors for 45 minutes.
Yeah, right.
And then you're putting another doctor who then has to move into adjusting flow on an island to adjust all the people that are coming in at that moment. So
I think it's just such a game changer to be able to have a layperson to not have to take a doctor off the schedule for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, some people do, and to be able to find the parts that only the doctor can do should be the parts that only the doctor does.
Right.
So then in the day 2, when they come back, I imagine that he greets them. So walk me through a little bit about.
So we do group report of findings. Okay. So we have different times scheduled throughout the week. So there's anywhere between 1 and 6 people that are coming in for that report. So they're greeted, they're given their information, their paperwork, all of that, and then we go through. Dr. 𝗪𝗪 or myself will do kind of a pre-report of findings, so just some education, and then people get taken back individually for their individual reports.
Great.
And so Christian is there and part of that process at that time.
Yeah. Does he do that part, the one-on-one, or does he do
No. The doctors do the one-on-one X-ray reviews, and then either we will or the team will, kind of go over the financial side of things, get them set up on their schedule, and then get started.
Great. All right, so we got to the $1 million mark. You've got an associate now. You've got basically the team that you have now. What has been, what's the things that you're focused on right now? What do you think is going to be the accelerator to continue that growth to the 1,000 and beyond? Yeah, that's just looking at those pieces of marketing. I mean, attraction is a big thing, right? And then we've done a really great job at conversion, at converting new people that are coming in the doors. Yeah. And I think the biggest thing at this point now is that retention piece. Looking at the people that you're starting with, are they staying under care? Do they get the big idea? Do they understand why they're here? Yeah. Are there reasons beyond pain, that they're staying here, and being able to educate through that process. So, looking at that attraction side, it's internal, it's external, and it's digital. So that's I'm hoping that that digital piece continues to grow, and for us that'll be we kind of talked about that being a game changer. Yeah. But that's just a big piece that's been untapped for us, and aside from the last 6 months, right? So I expect that side and that piece to continue to grow. Yeah. And then just making sure that our team and our new doctors that are here, that they're educating. Educating is so powerful. And that's you look back at the first 2 or 3 years of practice and you go, man, I wish I could have those people back that left me, because I know so much more now, and I'm educating so much differently now than I was then. Yeah, and when somebody leaves because they weren't getting the level of fulfillment that they needed, it's not like they're coming back. It's not like they're going through it a second time. Right. They're already like, well, I tried that.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and it's just like, that's the frustrating part is like, it's like, no, but I've gotten better, you know?
Yeah.
The thing I like about your office is that you have, you can't see it on the video, but on the walls, is this research?
Yeah.
Like these are like research
so
papers on
research,
like colic, ADHD, asthma, bedwetting, low back pain, neck pain. So like a lot of the stuff that people are walking in with, but then also like if I have neck pain and I've got a colicky baby, I'm here for the neck pain, but if I see colic, I'm like, oh, what's colic doing in a chiropractic office? And then you've got the only like reading material in here is either these research papers or the testimonial book,
Right.
which is just like a stack. And I was just kind of flipping through it, and it's all like life changing things, not really like my pain went from a 6 to a 4.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Well,
I have more energy and I'm a better
Yeah.
parent and all
Well,
that
and that's it too. I mean, like we have but the neck and back pain cases, I mean, those are a dime a dozen, right? You know, I mean, like that's.
But those people, that's what's going to attract people. Right? Like,
Right.
I'm like, that's what your content needs to be about. You need to talk about the things that people that don't know you, that don't know about colic, you got to talk to them about where they're at, right? You got to meet them there.
Course.
But when they come in here and they start to, and you do the job of it, because if you explain to somebody how the Merrick chart works and how freeing up a subluxation can allow your asthma to get better, if you don't talk about that before you help them with that problem, you don't get the credit for helping them with that problem. So it all comes down to educating them before. It's like, this is how your nervous system works, and that's where the 1 turns into 3, because they only know so many people with neck pain.
Yeah.
They know lots of people with all these other conditions that are influenced by the nervous system.
Right.
And once they understand that, that seems like that's the big idea. I don't think I've ever met a doc that is over 500 a week that is not all in on educating on the nervous system and how it functions versus just like chasing symptoms.
Well, you have to, right? I mean, it's a paradigm shift, right?
Yeah.
And if you're not educating them, who is? Right.
Exactly.
So that's a huge part of our practice. And again, same thing. Every great practice that I've ever seen, that was a massive part of their practice.
Yeah. So you're going to be moving into a new space. When's that going to be?
So hoping this summer. Yeah,
Okay.
So we're negotiating new terms and everything right now, and hopefully get the ball rolling after the first of the year and be able to make a nice smooth transition in the summer.
Any big plans with the new office, or just more of the same and just helping more people?
Yeah, bigger, definitely a few things that we're going to change up. We're going to create like a conference space, like a conference room, style space that we can, right now we do all of our group reports after hours, because that's the only times that we have available to do that. So it'll allow us to be able to bring those in during regular office hours, that we can go through that group report process. We're going to add, we've got a little kids area that's kind of behind this wall here, but we're going to just kind of blow it out and do a massive kid space. About 40% of our practice is kids. I don't want to say that, I love the term pediatric chiropractor, but that's not really what we're a neurologically based family practice. I want to see every member of your family, not just your kids, but we've been able to see a ton of kids in here, and so we want to give them a really cool space, and so we're going to do some fun design things with that. But then the rest is just making it bigger, more exam rooms, more adjusting tables, and then being able to bring in a third doctor, so being able to have the space for that.
Great. Two last things I want to make sure I touch on. One is I feel like you guys do a really good job with your content. You take it really seriously. You always try to just do it at like a 10, right? So you didn't do content, before we started working together, right? So what was it that I was talking to Dr. 𝗪𝗪 before we started, and you could tell she was just like, I feel like I've gotten better, like she was very like self-conscious of how she started out. You were more natural on camera and just like performing. But what is it, what's your mindset when you're creating content, and kind of the intention that you put out there, and what allows you to what I think is what allows you to make what I think is good content? Yeah.
Well, I think you touched on it just a moment ago, is like, even though I want to sit here and talk about subluxation and the importance of proper neurological function, the people that are scrolling through on Facebook or on Google or whatever. I mean, nobody types in, where is the nearest wellness-based, healthcare, chiropractor, it just doesn't happen, right? It's my neck hurts, my back hurts, and so that's where you have to kind of bring that content, is to be able to meet people where they're at, so you can make that first connect point, and then you begin the education process. And
within the content, it just like the title of the video needs to be about the thing they already care
absolutely.
about. But in the middle of the video, that's the part to really explain. I talk a lot about subluxation in the video. I don't make the video how subluxation is going to help you, because no one knows what that is.
Right.
But then when you got your spine and you're explaining it, that makes it a whole lot easier for people to understand. Like when you explain to somebody why they keep having headaches over and over and over, and it's in the same spot every single time, when they hear that they can't unhear that. Right. When you really explain it, it's just like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But you got to get them in first. You got to hook them with something before you can deliver the content that you want.
Yeah.
So the second thing, last thing I wanted to talk to you about was, you and your wife get along so well, and it seems like you've just got a great vibe in here. There's no like side eye and like comments or anything. So like, what is it that allows you guys to work so well together? We talked about you have to like each other, number one.
Yeah.
But beyond that, let's say like the baseline has been met. What are the three things that you think are the most important?
Yeah, I just think we have different strengths, and that's, I mean, she's a registered nurse, so worked in a hospital setting for almost 10 years. And so just has that really, great bedside manner, and she's super outgoing, very bubbly, and then she's like organized as all get out, and so like she has these awesome strengths that just allows her to be a great office manager. For me, it's I like marketing, I like training, and I like taking care of people, and so we kind of have our separate space, and so I think that's what's allowed us to work really well together, is we complement each other, and that's and as far as like the butting heads, I mean, we're a husband and wife. I mean, it's going to happen every once in a while, right? But we don't ever bring it into the practice, and that's, and but that's the thing too, is like this, I don't feel like this is work for us. I mean, yes, we work hard, but we love what we do. I mean, we call each other on the way home and have a conversation about, okay, what could we have done better here? What could we have done here? What did you like about this? And then we get home and we eat dinner and we talk about some, so it's just, it's not like a piece of our life. It's like, I mean, it is our life.
Do you ever feel like you talk about work too much, like outside of work?
No, because we can shut it down. I think Monday through Thursday, like it is, like that's where the focus is. But we live out on a ranch, and
you have horses to talk about.
We've got animals, and and our daughter Sophia, and, so we know how to turn it off when we need to turn it off.
Yeah, every Facebook post I see from you guys is like this animal and that animal in this beautiful setting, and you guys have a good time out on the farm.
It is. It's a blast.
I think that's like the secret to a hugely successful heavy pediatric practice. I just interviewed Tony Ebel a couple weeks ago, and he lives out on a ranch and has like 1,000 person a week clinic, and like 70% of them are kids, and maybe the ranch is the secret to success. Like, get back to nature, right?
That's right.
So any parting words of wisdom that you could give, like if there's a chiropractor out there that's maybe struggling, stuck, or maybe they're just getting started, what would you say would be like the biggest piece of advice that you could give them on like how to grow something the way you have?
I mean, there's so many, but I think one of the biggest ones would be to just keep moving forward. That's I see a lot of young docs that that call my office and like, hey, help, what am I doing wrong? And they don't like rejection, and that's just something that you have to get used to, right? I mean, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and so it's just continually putting yourself out there, and that's we don't see it as failures. It's just like that next step in the process of getting us from where we are now to where we want to be. So it's just picking those pieces and go, okay, we talked about all the little pieces that we had along the way, but let's say it's screenings, that's like, go to as many places as you possibly can. That's don't just do one. It didn't go well, and then you throw your screening tent away, right? Like you're going to have to. Some of them are going to be great, some of them not so great, but you just keep doing them, and they add up.
and learn from people that have been successful as a thing that you're trying to do. You know, like, don't be proud. Don't think that, like, oh, only this way is the way that I need to get patients. Like I just like the way that you said that. It's like, there's 50,000 people that we haven't checked yet. So it's like, there's always somebody out there that needs to be talked to, that needs to be influenced. And you got to keep going to where they're at, whether that's online or offline. Yeah. You got to show up.
So and quick, you just made me think of something. So quick, encouraging story, just for those listening. So we're right next door to the library right here. So it was a lunchtime. They did this like book fair, and this is in the beginning of our practice. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, and it was during my lunch break, but that was I quick popped over there, set up my table. We set it up for 2 hours. Not a single person walked into this book fair. Not one. Zero. The lady that was at the table next to me with her books, we just started a conversation. She takes one of my business cards, doesn't even schedule an appointment. 2 months later, this woman calls my office, comes into my office, goes through the exam process, starts care. Then she brings back her husband. Then she brings back her 2 kids. Then she brings back her mom. Then she brings back her dad. Then she brings back her grandmother. So we now have 4 generations of this family under care. And then in those years too, they've probably referred us 30 to 40 people. So you never know when something's going to click like that either. Like I could have walked away, kicked rocks on my way back and been like, that was horrible, I'm never doing another screening again. But it just pays to just communicate and talk to people and just keep reaching out and shaking hands. So that's, don't think of things as failures, because they're just seeds. You're just planting seeds. You're planting seeds.
And if you guys are going to live here forever, right? I mean, this is where you live. So, like, if you have, a 40-year plan to be in practice here, have a 40-year lens that you're looking through, and you're trying to become a part of the community. Like, if you just hide in your office and don't talk to anyone, and you don't go over to the book fair, you miss out on like influencing a whole family. Like their whole lives have changed now. Absolutely. And that's the whether it's having one conversation with somebody, getting coffee with the attorney in town, or whatever it is. Like making sure a piece of content, like a video or a blog. You never know whose life that's gonna change. And if we're in this to like change people's lives, does it matter that you're only changing one life? I just feel like as doctors, like we've got to put the focus on, if we can just because if you go into it with the intention of like, I want to influence one person, you happen to influence a whole lot of other people.
Absolutely.
Man, that's such a good spot to end on. But I just realized that I didn't get Joe's top 3 tips on beard maintenance. So I've got to get that in before we go. So you always have like the best, like, and I mean, I'm sure it just like naturally like grows that way, but do you do anything to like make, because it always looks different. Like this time it's a little shorter on the side. Sometimes it's bushier. Like, what are your things? Do you like do oil? Like, what do you use?
Beard oil. Yeah, that's my wife actually makes it.
She makes it? Yeah. Of course she does. On the farm.
Yep. It's just essential oils and jojoba oil. And
nice.
So that's what, and then I think it's just that constant self-grooming, right?
Yeah, right. You gotta get them to lay down. Mine are always just like when they get that long, it's like they're like going all over the place. So it's like, this seems to be a length that I can manage. But like last year I grew it out like longer, like yours, and it was just like, I just felt like I spent 4 hours a day just like rubbing my face. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I ended up going back to the shorter one. But I'm always very jealous of your practice. So. I'm also very jealous of your practice and your staff and like everything that you've accomplished, man. I just think that you've got a really good thing going on here. And I think Castle Rock's lucky to have you, man. So I appreciate the time.
Oh, absolutely. And,
it was a pleasure. And we'll see you guys soon. We'll see you on the next episode.
Just because this episode is over doesn't mean you can't continue your path to $1 million practice. We've created chiropractic's most full-service marketing agency at Leverage Media to help you reach $1 million a year fast and continue to grow. You can get a free strategy session with me absolutely free right now. To get started, go to getmemorenewpatients.com. Once again, go to getmemorenewpatients.com, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Path to $1 Million podcast.